I want to talk about a couple teams who are having ridiculously good starts considering where we thought they were going to be preseason. Do you want to start? We kind of talked about Boston a little bit already. They're incredible. We're not shocked. Let's move on before we get ourselves upset.
We talked about the Sabres a bit as well. Do you have anything else to add about them?
About the Sabres? I think the Sabres, we saw they lost their last two games against the Kraken and the Habs, funnily enough, after sweeping Alberta. So I think they're coming back down to earth a little bit. I expect them to be fighting for a wild card spot. I think they're right where they belong in like 4th or 5th in the Atlantic right now. I think if they can keep that up and maybe improve and sink into a playoff spot, that's a great season. I think they've had a good start considering.
Yeah, really quickly, I'll take Vegas because Vegas are my boys.
Those are your guys.
You take the Flyers because you love the Flyers.
Please.
Very quickly, Vegas. Not surprised in the slightest. I gave a hot take.
I kind of am.
Really?
I'm. It's almost kind of like Boston. I thought they were gonna be bad.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I think about it, it's like you got Bruce Cassidy, you got Jack Eichel, and you have just a solid group of players that even if there's outside noise and things going on in the organization that we talked about, I'm not shocked that they figured it out. And I want to hear from you.
I don't want to be one of these analysts, and I'm not calling myself an analyst. I don't want to be one of these people that says I told you so and bring up one good take in light of a million bad ones that I had. But I did say that Vegas and Pittsburgh were going to be in the Cup final, and they've both been great. I'm not surprised about Vegas at all. Like, they have a healthy Eichel who's looking elite again. They're built the right way. They have a really strong deep pair. And with all those valid comments, remember Pacioretty said, if there's one guy to clean up the mess in terms of accountability, it's a Stanley Cup champion. Bruce Cassidy, did he win with them? He didn't. But he got to the finals.
He was head coach. He was a finals.
Regardless, he's that guy. He's that guy that you respect. The only issue with them, the only two issues were the accountability. Cassie figures that out. And then the goalie. No Robin Leonard. Logan Thompson's going to win the Calder. He has 2 shutouts this year already.
He was he not like the ECHL? Like, I think he played for Brock University. Brock University.
Yeah, he's going to win the Calder. Probably. He's going to get 55 to 60 starts. It was between him and Aiden Hill. He's not going to give the net up. No. Considering how great this team is defensively. His numbers are going to not even be inflated. He's just a good goalie. This team is first in the Pacific. They're going to win. I think they're going to win the Pacific.
Seems like it.
I thought that I had that hot take that they're going to beat Edmonton to win the Pacific. Granted, so many games left to play. But they look good.
Still, to start, they look incredible.
Okay, now you tell me about Tortorella's Flyers.
I literally only have 2 words. The 2 words are Carter Hart, because without him, they would be as bad as we all thought they were going to be.
Yep.
They have the 3rd worst expected goals percentage in the league. They have the worst Corsi percentage in the league. They are not driving play. They are getting peppered in every single way. But Carter Hart has the best goals saved above expected per 60 in the entire league, even better than Ottinger. Right? He's single-handedly just carrying this terrible team to relevancy. And listen, I'm happy for Carter Hart because last couple of seasons we didn't know if he was going to be the Carter Hart that everyone hyped him up to be, but now he seems to be figuring something out. I don't know, maybe Tortorella, maybe a system change. I don't think it's a system because they're getting shelled. He's just playing really well. I'm happy for him on a personal level, but let's take a step back. I don't think the Flyers are going to be continuing anywhere close to this. I also don't think if you're the Flyers, you want to be great like this because we know it's unsustainable.
And the best draft is coming up in a very long time.
Exactly. If you're going to be accidentally good, this is probably not the year to do it.
I think the Flyers and the Blackhawks missed the memo that this isn't the Shane Wright draft. It's the Connor Bedard draft.
Literally. Yeah, both of those teams are giving like a big middle finger to their management group. Even though, ironically, we talked about this, I think the Flyers management group thinks they're actually good. So they probably feel very vindicated by this start. And it's going to be really interesting to watch them slowly descend down the standings because that's where they're headed. Even if your goalie is literally Jesus Christ, it only works to a point. If you're controlling 30% of the shots and the chances, you're eventually going to start losing. They're due for regression soon. I said this on TikTok. Unless you have Carter Hart, trade all of your Philadelphia Flyers players. Kevin Hayes has 10 points in 7 games. I don't think he's ever been over a point a game in his entire career. So right now, Tony D'Angelo, too, just under a point a game. Travis Konechny is over a point a game. Sell those guys if you have them in fantasy, and keep Carter Hart because I think he's going to be fine.
The last thing that I want to say is that I don't want to hear any of this that John Tortorella is the reason that the Flyers are good.
No,
because
literally
based
no.
off of your argument, the one thing a coach can't control is their goalie. And if their goalie is the one that is keeping them afloat, I don't want to hear any of this garbage.
It's such an easy thing for people to cling on because everyone loves. I kind of like John Tortorella too, to be honest, because I kind of just like appreciate his honesty and his not like care and no care attitude. But yeah, he's definitely not the reason for what's going on now. Maybe he said something to Carter Hart in the offseason. I don't know what he could have said to him, but yeah, it's not him. This is all Carter Hart. He deserves all the credit.
I think the last thing we want to end off with is the Canucks.
Oh, yes.
Oh, man.
But
I don't understand. Okay, like, look, on a side...
Back-to-back wins, baby.
What?
Back-to-back wins.
Back-to-back wins, that's true. On a side note, I tried to pick, I'm a Leafs fan through and through. The first team that I started to cheer for after the Leafs was the Vegas Golden Knights, and they started being garbage. And then I started cheering for the Vancouver Canucks, and they're garbage. Am I just like a bad omen? Should I start cheering for the Bruins?
You know what? I think you should. I think we need to hang a Bruins jersey back here, and maybe we can give them some Leafs juju and get them to be bad.
I don't understand. Like the Vancouver Canucks didn't have that hard of a schedule. I mean, Edmonton is good. Then they played Philly and Washington and Columbus. Those are 3 wins you should have. Minnesota's a beatable team. Buffalo's a beatable team. Carolina and Pittsburgh are good, but they beat Pittsburgh. And Seattle's a team you need to beat. They only played 3 teams that are tough to beat in Edmonton, Pittsburgh, and Carolina. And granted, with the roster that was constructed this year, the Vancouver Canucks should have been good enough to at least take one of those 3 games. We saw how well they played for Bruce Boudreau last year in the latter half of the year when he got signed. I think all these stats showed that if they played at that trajectory the whole year, they would have made the playoffs that year. I think everyone was within their rights to say that the Vancouver Canucks were a team that was expected to compete for a wildcard spot.
Mm-hmm.
And then what? They lose their first 5 games?
Yeah. I think they lost their first 7 because they won back-to-back.
Oh, yes.
They're 2-5-2. Lost their first 7 games.
And like I checked Thatcher Demko's stats. He's not the problem. I watched one game. Me and Steph were on Zoom. We watched the ending of the game between the Seattle Kraken and the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah.
When they won, they looked terrible.
Yeah, they did. They were getting hemmed in like you wouldn't believe.
But it's not even by like being hemmed in by Carolina. Fine.
No, it's Kraken.
By Matty Beniers and the Seattle Kraken. This is a team you need to beat, like with conviction, and you're clinging on to dear life. They even scored a goal to tie it, and it got overturned. They're so lucky.
Yeah.
That was for his first win. And then not even after that, they were up 2. They scored a late goal after that to make it 5-4. And if it wasn't for JT Miller sacrificing his LCL, that shot from Burakovsky would have went in to tie it. And I can't imagine being 0-7, being up 2 to the Seattle Kraken with a minute left to play. You come back and you lose that game. Bruce Boudreau's fired on the spot.
You think?
100%.
Yeah, that would be tough. A game before a 600th win too. Could you imagine?
They have like the front office is coming up and saying at this rate we might have to be put into a rebuild. I mean, it's pretty cool that Connor Bedard's a huge Vancouver Canucks fan.
Yeah.
So
the crazy thing is though, despite their terrible start, the Pacific is so bad. They're only 2 points out of a wild card spot.
Wow. It's the complete opposite. I mean, everyone knew the Pacific was the worst division, but this was supposed to be the year that they were the worst division by a very slim margin.
Yeah.
Because Calgary, Vegas, Edmonton, Vancouver were all supposed to be good.
Even the Kings. The Kings are bad too.
Very bad, and it just hasn't worked.
Yeah, I don't. The thing is with the Canucks is that their roster on paper isn't even. It's not great, but it's not this bad.
It's wild card good.
Yeah, you should be able to make a playoff push with this roster. Their defense is bad, like very bad. It's AHL other than Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
But on forward, they've got maybe I can count 4 or 5 very good players on my hand.
And Pettersson's having a very
He's
good
having
year.
a great year. After we talked about it, is he kind of regressing? He's taken a step this year so far. He's shown that he can really be like that first line center. It's just really strange. I don't know how you get off to an 0-7 start and still have a chance at the playoffs nonetheless. But what do you think the move is here? Do you think the Canucks can sort of build off of this little 2-game winning streak they've got and maybe make a push in an underwhelming Pacific division to make a wild card spot? Or do you think they tear it down now and sacrifice a season. Like, I don't know. I don't even think you can tear down. Like, I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
They have to figure it out.
Okay.
They have to, because they can't, scapegoat the coach, because clearly they bought into the coach last year. It's not a coaching problem. They sunk themselves into huge contracts with Pettersson and with JT Miller.
And Ekman Larson. There.
They can't go into a rebuild, or else they're going to be, the rebuild like the San Jose Sharks, which is it's a half rebuild and it doesn't work. The division is good enough that they can still make the playoffs. And from a Vancouver Canucks fan standpoint, these are some of the most passionate fans in Canada and in the league, and we know this from history. This team has been in a rebuild for the last 10 years, and we've heard about, the promised land in 2014 about, Pettersson, Brock Besser, JT Miller. All these guys are going to be very good. I don't think JT Miller was there, but regardless, like Quinn Hughes, all these guys, these were going to be the guys, and Demko to lead us to a cup. These guys are all in their prime now, and they have a chance to make the playoffs. Their roster is constructed to be good enough to, and they cannot rebuild, like financially or logistically, or else I think everyone in Vancouver becomes a Seattle Kraken fan. They need to figure it out.
I agree.
They have to, because imagine they go like 50 and
32.
Sorry, 32 and 50.
Oh, okay.
My goodness.
Yeah.
What do you even do? Like, you can't rebuild, so you just have to be perpetually bad.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've heard people say they've needed to rebuild, but their best players are under 25. I mean, JT Miller's old, granted, and so is Bo Horvat, but Besser, Quinn Hughes, Demko, Pettersson, the guys you want to build around.
Podkolzin, Kuzmenko. There's one more,
Hoglander. They're all young. So there's something that's not going right, because they can't rebuild, because they already have the making of a team who just rebuilt.
Yes.
Who just rebuilt.
Yes.
So they got to figure out. They traded for Ethan Bear yesterday, which was strange.
They gave up nothing.
Fifth. It was a fifth for him, so maybe he's an improvement over guys like Rathbone.
And Tyler Myers, low key.
And Tyler Myers, he's so bad. That's one of the contracts I forgot to mention.
Yep.
That's an anchor. I think they do have to figure it out, and they got to figure it out quickly, because they still have a chance.
Yeah, it's just very weird, because from a roster construction standpoint, this team looks like a team that is emerging from a successful rebuild and can start pushing for a wild card. Like, they have the perfect blend. They have a great young goalie. They have what looks like an offensive number one defenseman. They have a very good top six that is mixed with good young players on still like RFA contracts, and they have big UFA players that are mature enough in JT Miller to like provide experience to those guys. Like, this is the perfect making of a team that can start competing for a wild card. And you would hope in 3 to 5 years be like a perpetual contender when guys like Besser and Pettersson are on UFA deals. It's just not turning out that way. I don't know what it is. One of my buddies as a Canucks fan even said too, everyone who reports on the Canucks, like the golden question is, how is this team not good? Because no one can figure it out.
On paper, they're great.
Yeah.
Maybe improving their decor is a step in the right direction, because after Quinn Hughes, it does fall off a cliff.
Yeah. So
maybe adding somebody who is a legitimate NHL player like Ethan Bear can help. Maybe making smaller moves like that. I don't think you can make a big move, because with the cap and mid-season, and they're not trading from a position of any leverage, it's going to be tough to shake up the roster. We talked about a Bo Horvat trade, which maybe is something they continue to look at. He's been good, right? So it's not... trades are easy to make in theory, but in reality are tough to make, especially at this point. I think they have to figure out internally, or by making smaller moves like the one they made a couple days ago. But yeah, I agree. They have to figure it out, and they still have a chance. The fact that I still can't get over the fact that they started off 0-7 and are 2 points out of a playoff spot. So, if that's anything,
must be nice.
It must be nice, and I hope that they make it. Like you said, we have a couple of friends who are Vancouver fans. We don't really want to see them suck anymore, because I have no loyalties in the West. So if a Canadian team can do well, why not? Go for it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch this Vancouver team navigate whatever the heck they've got going on there. I'm interested to see if they can go on a little run now. I don't know what the schedule looks like coming up. Let me have a quick look, actually.
I think it gets tough. I think they have to sweep through the Atlantic next, or like 4
you know
or
what?
5
They do have a little road trip through the Atlantic, but before that they go Devils, who have honestly been pretty damn good too. Devils, Ducks, Predators, and then Sens, and then they go literally right through the Atlantic.
You have to win 3 of those 4 before you go to the Atlantic. You have to.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content. and find the link to our full podcast and all our socials in the description down below.
Also, don't forget to turn on those notifications to get live updates on new videos that we release.